So tonight's maniac, one of them, is New Jersey Governor Christie. Just when he thought he had left the headlines, America,
he wishes.
He's back. A New Jersey judge ruled for the second time that a criminal complaint against Governor Christie can go forward, saying Thursday, evidence established that the Republican had reason to believe lane closure of the George Washington Bridge in 2013 were more than just a routine traffic study and failed to take action to stop it. Applause erupted. I just can imagine people in New Jersey like, whoop! When the judge basically said there's probable cause to charge Christie with official misconduct for failing to act to stop the lane closures and subsequent gridlock, part of an alleged political retribution scheme against Democratic mayors who did not endorse him. And this is what the judge said, and then we'll talk about it. There is probable cause to believe that the governor knew this was more than just an ordinary and productive traffic study, and the consequences were upsetting to the mayors of Fort Lee. The judge set a March 10th date for Christie to answer the criminal summons, though it is unclear if he will appear in person or not.
Right.
Christie could be going to the slammer.
The Ballad of Christie. Let's just revisit what Christie's been up to for the last year or two so far. So
campaigning for Donald Trump.
He was a political candidate. He ran for president. He was basically humiliated on stage by Donald Trump, eviscerated by some of the other candidates, dropped out, was one of the first politicians to hop on the Trump train and give an endorsement.
Even though it was supposed to go the opposite way. So
Right.
he was supposed to stay in longer. Trump was going to drop out and endorse Christie.
Yeah, of course.
Didn't happen.
That didn't happen. So he jumps on the Trump train thinking, this is my best chance to get a hot seat in the cabinet level. And then this first ruling comes out.
And then, the first ruling came out, nothing about it. But then, rumor has it, according to him and according to the governor, his people, he stated that he withdrew himself from being considered for a position, and that his wife did not want to move to Washington, D.C.
Yeah, that sounds like an excuse. That's the bottom line. Like, you can say whatever you want to make it sound like whatever it is, but the fact of the matter is, even for the Trump administration, who seems to have no problem, like, picking controversial people, someone who may certainly be under a criminal investigation.
That's problematic.
Yeah, we're gonna just step away from Chris Christie.
We're gonna pump the brakes on that one.
Although, listen, I would take Chris Christie over a lot of these cabinet picks at this point.
Yeah, here's the
sad.
thing. I think, truth be told, I think there's a lot wrong with Chris Christie, but he's a smart guy.
Yeah.
And look, Superstorm Sandy, I thought he showed true leadership.
Yeah.
And he said, listen, I need help. Obama came, I hugged him, he helped me. But to go back to this court case now, so we know his chief of staff, Bridget Kelly, who testified that she told the governor about the traffic study at Fort Lee. She's now in jail, I believe. There's a lot of folks already arrested. And here's what the judge said, which I think is very telling, Rich, and I want to get your response to it. He says, it's very puzzling that the governor of New Jersey would seem to be pleased with the fact that the mayor of a major city expressed concerns about traffic jams would go unanswered, seemingly with the governor's approval.
Yeah. So what Chris Christie did allegedly, or let happen allegedly, is very disturbing for someone who's the mayor of a state. Because basically what he did was he negatively impacted the lives of the people who he was elected to serve.
Thank you.
In order to, get back at someone politically. And I don't know whether he thinks he's some kind of mob character where, he can do these retribution schemes, but, it's rare that these things actually get punished, but I'd like to see it happen.
I at least want to see all the evidence come out. And I think this judge is spot on. He goes on further in his decision to say, I love it. At the very least, he could have reached out to the mayor of Fort Lee to tell her about the traffic study, but he chose not to do that.
Right.
So at the very least, and come on, you are a governor, you're doing a study on a bridge that impacts a border city in your community. You don't call the mayor and be like, hey.
Just wanted to give you a heads up.
We're going to give you a heads up, we're closing lanes at the GW Bridge.
Because as far as I understand the way that these relationships usually work, if this kind of major traffic study was actually occurring, this would be something the mayor would know about months in advance.
You notify the mayor so you can notify the public. right? You notify the public. You might. I mean, this is where emergency preparedness comes in. So it's like, okay, because of this, we might have to open up. We might have to, divert hospital traffic to somebody inside New Jersey instead of taking people over the bridge to New York to get care. Like, there's a lot of pieces to this. And working in municipal government, which I did for some time, right? You have to think about all the impact. There's externalities and other impacts that happen because of this. And I think he did it intentionally. Whether or not he was the one who said, let's shut these bridges down, I don't know. But for a traffic study to happen on a major thoroughfare with you having no clue as the governor, I find to be a little tricky.
It's fishy. And listen, God forbid something actually happened and there was a situation where evacuation needed to occur, something like this. I mean, this situation goes from bad to
worse.
Criminal.
And criminal. And I think it's very interesting that this is happening, especially at a time where we see this leak-a-palooza happening from his buddy Donald Trump.
Right.
And it goes back to the point that I make all along, and I said this and I'll say it again. Republicans are great at campaigning. They're great at it. But they are awful, atrocious at governing. They are not really good at governing.
Yeah, I mean, for some reason, these Republicans don't understand. I don't know why this is. I don't understand the disconnect. So when they campaign, they talk to all these people. They ask for their vote, saying that they're going to represent them. But then when they get into whatever their seat of power is,
they vote.
It's like they forget or they don't even understand that they're impacting people, right?
Yeah, I think it's almost a situation where they forget that they're actually, the people who voted for them actually expect them to deliver on their promise.
Well, I mean, listen, especially when you get into Congress, you see some of these members of Congress and you're like, have they even thought about their district in the last month?
Of course not.
I mean, you get in there and you're like, okay, there are a million places I can go. I need to be networking. What's my next job that I want to get after this? How do I make sure I get reelected without actually doing anything for my people?
Thank you.
I mean, it's just
and now it's coming to us, and this is not the first time we've seen a governor go down in corruption. But this one here is a little. I mean, this is like most of the time the corruption is money laundering. I mean, so it impacts people, but doesn't really hurt people.
But we have most recently Virginia.
Yeah, but that didn't hurt anybody. But this actually hurt people. Right. Bob McDonnell was the last one, and he was sort of taking money from rich people and
giving it to his wife to buy shopping sprees and vacations.
Exactly. But anyway, Christie could be going to jail. We'll keep you posted here on The Fowler Show.